Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're from. It's been a while since I've recorded this way with a camera, so it'll be good to share what's been up, what's been happening, how things are going, and moving on forward down the line. So, what's been new with you guys? I haven't heard much from you. Just kidding. I'm always hearing from you guys. So I greatly appreciate that input. Now, the last episode, super short, super quick, which was fantastic. And a few things that I'm working on and learning are a few concepts that, when it comes to the construction world, it really applies to, I do believe, the reality creations world. Meaning, there is this code or this standard or training or principle or concept, whatever you want to call it, that they talk about how when you set a deadline, right, that allows the construction to be done by that very specific deadline. So then, whether it's the roofers, the siders, the concrete guys, the foundation, the electrical, whatever it needs to be, in terms of this very specific deadline that allows others to build off of that deadline, is going to make it so that when, say, the masons come in, they know that, hey, by the end of the month, we have to be done with this, because that's when electrical, that's when the foundation goes up, that's when the builders come in, that's when the remodelers come in and really start their projects. We actually have to be done by this very specific time. So we got these 2 or 3 weeks to really get it done, to make sure it's done by the end of the month, so then that way everyone else can continue on with what they had planned with their projects. So I think that's been a big realization, that you know where you're going, right? You obviously have a good understanding of where you're heading. And when you set that deadline, so with the trainings that I'm doing, my deadline is the end of the month. That's going to allow me to be certified by the University of Columbia in New York City for some sort of degree, you could say. And I'm understanding that when I can have these key principles, these core assets, it's going to allow me to do a lot bigger things than what I'm currently doing, which is beautiful. So with it, I know where I'm heading. I know who I am. I believe I'm already that person, but what's missing is the construction of actually being there that aligns with the very specific deadline. You see what I'm saying? So I understand the deadline is the end of the month, or like the 2nd of May, I do believe. I think that's the Friday of the new week where the months kind of meet and inter and overlap. So that is essentially my deadline. And then these next couple weeks now are just getting down to it, getting after it, building it. And someone really gave me a good concept and key understanding of some of the most successful companies that I grew up around. And he said, you know what makes this very specific company so successful? And this just flew right over my head right away, which is funny because it is very true. They have done a very, very great job. And what he pretty much said was very simple. And I think that's the beauty of it. Anything way too complex is not it. When you can boil it down to a simplicity, that's where it's at. That's where the money's at. That's where the meat and potatoes are at. That's where the beauty of everything is at, is what I'm really understanding. So go and read Proverbs 9, verse 9, if you haven't already. It talks about all who are simple. And if you can, get the Catholic Bible and read Wisdom. I've been really diving into Wisdom 7, 8, and 9. Those are very beautiful things that really talk about how King Solomon back in the time, really gained an understanding and a relationship with wisdom. He almost speaks about it as, God is at the head of the table, right? And then God's counselors are wisdom and understanding. So these are maybe people or spirits or understanding or wisdom or categories of God, say himself, is the way that I interpretate it. Meaning, God has these principles like justice, wisdom, understanding, integrity, things like that, that are very, say, spiritual laws that go on in this realm of earth that we could consider as the place we live at. Now, I keep it broad, I keep it vague, just because I don't specifically know all the details yet, and I don't know if I'll know all the details by the time I'm dead, just because I scientifically can't prove the spiritual. What was funny is the whole remote viewing thing. When I first understood and heard about remote viewing, it was the idea that scientifically it is a proven way to scientifically then understand the way God speaks, interprets, gives lessons, gives feedback, allows you to understand, hey, if I'm on the right path or not the right path, etc. So that's where it was like, okay, cool. Scientifically, this is essentially somewhat proven. The CIA at least spent millions, if not billions of dollars on it to figure it out. Now, depending on who you ask, it's a bunch of BS. Other people, it's like, yeah, it works. For me, an understanding of like, okay, that was real. I was either very much so interpreting with my future self to get the feedback and the data, or there was an eighth dimension that I was actually there to communicate with that allowed me to transcribe certain data points. And if you haven't done it, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about, which is why it just flies over so many people's heads, just because the saying of whether you believe you can or you can't, you are right. Whether you believe it's true or false, you are right. And that's the beauty of it all, is there's many different ways to tie it all together, to put different lenses on it, to align it, to make sure that it can work for you. So the last couple of weeks, we were, where I was, down in Scottsdale. We necessarily, when I was there, didn't hit the timeline that we were supposed to hit, which is fine because I think they got it figured out. But the beauty of it was, it is my new vacation and my new favorite type of vacation that I'm telling people. It's work outside of work, but it's just a different line of work that you're doing. What was really cool is it was a real test of faith, just because normally I do a lot of sales calls. This time there weren't as many, you could say, or there was delegation that was involved. In either way, it was more fruitful than what I do believe if I were to spend my time doing sales calls, to say the least. So that was absolutely beauty to see. That was absolutely fantastic to see. And it's a real revelation of what I thought, many years ago. I was just scared to fully commit to it. And that was a time where it's like, well, I have to fully commit to it here, because this is quote unquote my vacation, and I just want to turn my phone off and go and do these other types of things, which was work, manual labor, pouring some concrete, which was a lot of fun actually. And I think it brought a real revelation and realization that it's going to allow me to set up a new guarantee that's going to allow what I do to stand out completely on its own, so that way it can go and continue to reap new and great rewards. So that is kind of about all I got. And I know I kept it short and simple. There was an open loop that I never closed. And the reason why I haven't closed that open loop is just because I forgot what it was. And I'm just out here. I don't use a script when I do this. I just kind of share the things that I know and were on my mind, and understand that I have to convey a message that can resonate with an audience. So as I go back and re-listen to this, I will be able to close that open loop for you in the future. Now, there might have been many open loops that I haven't closed, And if you want to know how to close an open loop, or an open loop that I haven't closed, that you knew that I didn't know, that I have now known, and you open up completely to the message and messages of this here moving forward and back into the past, so that way we can all align moving forward in the future, please let me know. And I would love to then close those open loops, because I got a lot of open loops out there, especially if you go back and re-listen, just because it's an ever-going journey. It's Justin Kopet's journey, if you haven't known. And I greatly appreciate you tuning in. It is a real pleasure that you tune into this. The viewers are always going up. The questions are always coming in. Sometimes they're slower, sometimes they're not, but they're always continuously coming in. And the beauty of it all is, if we have an end destination date, and in between is the construction period that you have to go do these trainings, you have to go learn these things, you have to go make these calls, you have to go build the business that you know you're meant to build, you have to acquire these skills, you have to acquire those assets, you have to do whatever it is in order to get to that end of the timeline. We understand that while we're doing these trainings, skills, learnings, buying these things, figuring out the tiny little details that are going to make this all work a lot quicker, we can understand that on the other side of this deadline, this date that we have, is it's already complete. It's already done. Just because if we were to take what faith is it's you being able to see it already complete, living in the feeling that it's already done, knowing and understanding that there is no worry, because by faith it's already complete. That allows you to then cruise right through those learnings, those trainings, those understandings, those buyings of things that you need in order to get to that end destination, that goal. So I hope that helps you, my friends. That has probably been the biggest realization and the biggest thing that continues to stack on top of each other to gain more understanding of what it is that I'm trying to create. And I say trying as in it's already complete, right? So peace be with you, my friends. God bless you all. Thanks for hanging out with me. I love you all. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.